By recognition of any visitors who'd like to speak to the committee. We'll then take a look at our minutes that we need to approve, and then have our usual teaching and learning highlight featuring students from the IGO school today, which we're very excited to have here with us. We have an update on the Foxborough High School annual physical education requirement, followed by an update on Foxborough High School guidance services. We'll then take a look at approving some Foxborough High School overnight travel. We have a pre-K through 12 world language curriculum review tonight. The school committee will then vote to reappoint Ms. Deborah Spinelli as a voting member of the Bi-County Collaborative Board of Directors for the 15-16 school year. Mr. Yukna will give us an FY15 budget update. We have a donation to gratefully accept, and then we'll entertain any other matters. Just before we begin the reorganization, I just want to pass along just a couple of comments. First, I want to offer, once again, our condolences to Mr. Uden, who lost a family member recently, and you have been in our prayers and thoughts.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to welcome Mrs. Marilyn Weiss to the table. Congratulations.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
We're delighted to have you. And I want to congratulate Mrs. Bellinger on another 3-year term.
Thank you, Bruce, and same to you.
We all would like to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, congratulate you for your 3-year term.
And boy, a lot's gone on since our last meeting. I also want to thank the town and the public in general for supporting the budget at town meeting, which we put a lot of time and thought into. We appreciate as a committee. And finally, I just want to make the community aware that Dr. Burdos will be representing Ms. Spinelli tonight, who is unavailable to join us, and we're delighted to work with Amy, as we always do. So, thank you.
Could I add one quick congratulations to Mrs. Weiss also? She is the first person I know that has come to her very first meeting totally certified. She has already completed her school committee workshop.
That's pretty good.
So I think that is highly commendable. It's an 8-hour workshop that we are all required to take. We have up to a year to do it, but she did it between election and her very first meeting.
And I thank you, Bev, for joining me.
And there is so much in it. I, upon occasion, go back and I took it as a review. There's just so much packed in that, so.
Came
We're ready to
prepared.
go.
We're ready to go.
We're ready
All right.
to go.
School committee reorganization. So we'll begin with nominations for the role of the chairperson of the Foxborough School Committee.
Mr. Chair, could I open up for just a little discussion and background first, please, because we have relative newness on the board. Sometimes boards like to, so that a control situation doesn't take over, and for years, just one person kind of steered the ship. But to set up a rotating chairship, this was going on, and actually, we had instituted this for this board. Mr. Martis came to me one day and said, well, why are you doing that? A superintendent just gets used to working with one person and working well, and then within a year they have to go through a revolving door. So I actually would like to offer the consideration of perhaps, trying out a 2-year term or having this run a second time. Things are working so well and so smoothly, and Debbie has already worked with at least 3 different people, I think, since she took the helm. So I'd like us to consider keeping the chair as is for another year. But we do not have to do this. It's open for discussion.
Well, I think that is a great idea. I wouldn't want us to get locked into a 2-year rotation,
No,
or a change of policy, but I think for this year, we are a very productive board. We have strong leadership in Bruce, and Bruce and Debbie have a great working relationship, and I would agree with you. I'd like to see Bruce stay as chair, and I'd like to nominate him, move that we nominate Bruce to be chair for
I'll second.
next year.
We don't, actually, for nominations, we don't need a second.
But thank you.
But thank you.
But to that point, and to agree with Tina, my support of Bruce and frankly Tina as vice chair again, which is what I would be saying later or agreeing with if that were to come to pass, if we're going to discuss a 2-year cycle, I don't want the affirmative of this to be the affirmative of a 2-year acceptance.
No,
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you.
that's what I tried to say beforehand, but I guess I didn't come across.
I think we're just clarifying.
All right, so we'll take this one by one.
Thank you, Bevy, for your comments, and
Bruce,
Tina.
would you do it if you were nominated for chair?
I will happily do
It's
it
a lot of
again.
work.
I just want to make sure that Tina's comfortable with that as the vice chair.
I'm wholeheartedly behind it.
Okay. Well, okay, so we have a nomination for me to retain the chair. I'm happy to serve at the service of the board and of the community. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor?
Well, no, we have to do this by roll call vote.
Go right ahead.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much.
And I would like to nominate Tina to continue as vice chair for another cycle.
I'll say.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Aye.
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 Terrific.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank
you for serving.
We don't even have to switch seats.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, this,
We're already saving money and time.
There we go.
That's how well we work.
I'll make just a brief comment. You know, you guys humble me, and I feel very privileged to sit here. And the only reason why I think I have the ability to do this in back-to-back, which is a little bit of a precedent for recent, is because of what a effective board we are. And you talk about my relationship with Debbie, and it's all of our relationships with Debbie. You know, what makes us a strong committee, in my opinion, is that it is our committee. We view it as our committee. And we have 5 respectful voices, not always on the same point, and I don't think they always should be on the same point, but we certainly have a very productive and respectful voice, and I appreciate that. So I'm humbled, and thank you.
although it's not always a 5-0-0 vote, this as a committee has valued unity over all of that.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. And I'm looking forward to another exciting and successful year.
No snow.
No, sir. Okay,
With less snow.
moving right along. Do we have any visitors who'd like to be recognized tonight before we feature, we'll get to our minutes, and then we're going to feature our IGO school. But any visitors besides the IGO visitors who'd like to be heard? Seeing none, we'll take approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes tonight. We have the regular meeting minutes of April 27th. I know Janet passed out just an update with the top portion you mentioned, update about Mr. Uden's attendance, so that's terrific. And I know I didn't see anything going through the minutes. I don't know if anyone else did.
Neither.
No, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
A second?
All those in favor?
Okay.
Thank you. And then the policy subcommittee meeting minutes of May 11th.
Seemed all right to me. I'd motion we accept them as written.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. And just a comment on this. So I know Debbie originally had some policy updates on these points for tonight's meeting, and you guys were okay deferring that to the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes,
Nothing urgent.
No, it's tweaking just to make sure that all what reads on the top of the policy matches what reads on the bottom and lines up with the verbiage in the high school handbook and things.
We are sticklers, Bev and I. But it is nothing urgent. We just want to clarify a couple things.
All right, so I think we're going to see that at the next meeting. So thank you
Absolutely.
for that work. Okay, Dr. Burdos, should we turn it over to Mr. Stanton for the teaching and learning highlight?
Yes, if we can have Mr. Stanton and Ms. Kristen Siddle come up as well. Just give you a little background before they begin on our really exciting teaching and learning highlight. Many of you might be familiar with Dr. Stephen Covey and his work on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that was published a number of years ago, in 1989, I think, and then he actually published an edition one with the 8th habit. There was a school in North Carolina that was having many challenges, and they were charged with having to reinvent themselves or shut down, to be honest. And so the principal of that school went out and started asking parents and community members, well, what do you want for students in the school? What should it look like? And when she heard from all of those parents and constituents, she started to think it's really not that different from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Why should it be any different? And then as a result of that, later on, in about 2004, there was a book, The Leader in Me, that was published by Stephen Covey based on that work, and they've then replicated that in schools. And so I think this really is stemming from there. I had the opportunity to hear Dr. Covey speak the year before he passed away, along with that principal, and then do a breakout session with the principal, and it's really exciting to see that it is not different, all of these characteristics, for what we expect for all of us and students. And then what they've done at the IGO is just fabulous. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stanton to talk a little bit about that.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us here tonight. I also want to thank you for the lesson in town government. And as I was watching you, you're actually applying the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So it's something that we talk about, and the students that are here with us tonight are wonderful representatives of the students that we have in our 3rd grade Leadership Academy, and also we have a grade 4 Leadership Academy 2.0. So as Dr. Berto said, a little bit of history behind this. About 5 years ago, I started a program, a Leadership Academy at my prior school, and we focused on community service, but there was an element that was missing. And we focused on leadership, but not building capacity within the students. And in light of that, really looking to see what can we find to fill that void. So working with Ms. Siddle, we came across the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and also the 7 Habits of Happy Kids. And what we've done is we've developed a curriculum, a course for the students to be able to take. It's the highlight of our week. For the past 2 years, we've had approximately 80 students who have participated. This year, they've touched upon several different activities. For the 4th graders, what's unique about this group here is some of them participated last year, others they're new to the Leadership Academy. But we've really started off by basically talking about what is a habit. And we talked about bad habits and good habits and how you have to repeat and continuing to do those things. And our expectations for the students is to learn those habits, but then to apply them at home, in school, in the classroom, the playground, the bus, and in the community. And looking at the children that we have here, they are doing fantastic. And I think tonight you'll be very impressed with what they've accomplished individually and also collectively. We also, in the past, we've had guest speakers that have joined us. Last year, we had a Foxborough High School class president came, and she talked about how she was able to sort of become involved at the school level and what she does and study habits. This year, with the 4th grade group that's with us tonight, we're really focusing on incorporating technology as well. We realize that for these students, they need to be leaders in technology. And I think as a parent and as a principal, one of my biggest fears is you can have a great child and they just make a bad mistake with technology, and it's there. So I'm excited as these students sort of learn these skills and are able to incorporate them, that they're going to actually share them and be able to sort of influence their peers and truly be leaders. Personally, I have to thank Ms. Siddle because she comes from Providence, and whether it's early in the morning or she stays after school, she doesn't do it for pay. Her reward is working with the students. So it's her expertise and everything that she does for the students and staff is very, very much appreciated. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Siddle now so she can talk a little bit about how this actually complements existing school practices and some of the community service that we do as well.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Stanton. Well, as the guidance counselor at the Agro Elementary School, we support student learning through the caring school community, which is throughout the Foxborough Public Elementary Schools, and the Leadership Academy really highlights and fosters the values that are taught in the caring school community, values such as respect, helpfulness, kindness, working together with others at home, at school, and in the community. And the Leader in Me program has the 7 habits that focus on students really developing skills, interpersonal skills, skills by giving back in the community, and team working, and really trying to get those habits that they can develop a clear understanding of and use throughout their life and apply in a lot of ways. And one of the great parts of that is the community service program, where last year we did some community service. We had a towel and sheet drive for the Massachusetts Protection for Cruelty for Animals, in Boston, and we had a nice drive for that. The students were responsible for organizing that, for making posters, for recruiting and gathering all of the supplies. They also wrote letters to the Dear Soldier program, and with gratitude for soldiers who had been injured, and also did various other things throughout the school, one of which made some posters for students going to Special Olympics. And then this year, we have some community service projects where we're reaching out into the community in different ways. We have the third grade is doing a community service program within the school that Mr. Stanton had come up with the idea. It's called the Golden Hand Award, and we brought it here to show you. It also goes along with a certificate that the classroom receives. And this is a new program to the IGO school. So the Leadership Academy students have been traveling to the classrooms with Mr. Stanton to explain what the Golden Hand Award is, what they need to do, have a clean classroom, and then the custodians will nominate the class that receives the daily award. And the students have done a nice job and will continue to teach the rest of the school about that award. We also have the IGO Way, which is a term that's been coined by Mr. Stanton, and it basically encompasses how we expect everyone to be treated in the IGO school. And the students have put together a nice PowerPoint that they're going to be sharing with the kindergarten classes. They're going to be going in and teaching about the IGO Way, how to be a respectful student and a friend and a person in the community. So that's something we're looking forward to working with in the third grade. The fourth grade community service is currently working on video chatting with webcams and going into the classrooms and working with students on what that looks like, and showing some examples of using webcams. And they're also putting together a performance for one of our school-wide assemblies where they're going to be doing a skit that talks to the rest of the school about the 7 habits. So it's a nice opportunity.
Doing the skit, I'd love to see that skit. When
Oh.
are you doing the skit?
May 29th, or 2:15. You're all invited if you'd like to come.
Yeah.
And I think the wonderful part for tonight, we're excited to have these students come up, and they actually have their turn in the spotlight. Last year we met before school and also during recess. This year we're meeting after school, but they also give up multiple recesses during the week, so we're able to work on these community projects. If you look at how nice this weather has been and after being inside, that's an incredible sacrifice that they make, and they are very eager. Today we did our first community service project with the webcam. We visited Mrs. Gray's third grade class, and they, looking at the younger students, look up to them. We're excited, and I think Amy had talked about the 8th habit, and for that it's find your voice and inspire others to find theirs. And I think the students that you're about to meet will hit that right on the head. So I'm going to invite the students to come on up. We didn't practice this part here.
That's
so let's
okay.
see how we do. So front row,
That's
come on
all
up.
right.
We're going to bring up your chairs. And we're in order here, so now you're going to sit right down here. And then Nate, you don't have to bring up yours because we had 2 chairs for Civil and I. Joey scooped up the fire turn a little bit there. I don't know what the record is for fitting number of students here at a table, but we will try our best. Who's next to Gianna? Ava, scoot right over there. Maybe we can scoot one in over here. And then we'll I am going to have them borrow this microphone. Okay? I'll just scoot
She can
right in
slide.
there.
Mike, there's a piece of tape on the back. If you undo the tape, it might give you a little more slack on that mic. Well, hi, boys and girls. How are you?
Are you excited?
I'm well, thank you.
Are you nervous? Oh, we're not too scary, really.
Don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous. You know what? We have some moms and dads up here of other kids in the Foxborough schools too. So we're just like your moms and dads. Did you know that? So would you guys start by telling us your name and what grade you're in? And just kind of speak toward the microphone if you would so everyone can hear you, okay? Go ahead.
I'm Maya Warriors and I'm in 4th grade.
Hi, Maya. Thank you. Next.
My name's Joey Joseph Bartek and I'm 4th grade.
Hi, Joey.
My name is Gianna Kusha and I'm in 4th grade.
Hi.
My name is Ava Calloway, and I'm in 4th grade.
And Ava, you can just push that
Push that
microphone over
microphone.
just a little bit. That's perfect, thank you.
My name is Sophia Sugaris, and I'm a 4th grader.
My name is Brooke Tierney, and I'm in 4th grade.
All right, Brooke, can you pull that over just a little too? Yep, thank you.
My name is Nathan Young, and I'm in 4th grade.
My name is Jennifer Kalick, and I'm in 4th grade.
Nice job. Very good, everybody. And what would you like to tell us about some of the things that Mr. Stanton and Ms. Siddle were just telling us about your leadership program? Does anyone have any ideas or anything you've done as part of it that you want to tell us about? Anyone can say anything they want.
Maya has an introduction. She can even start with that.
All right, Maya.
So, my name is Maya. I'm in Mrs. Swale's class, and I'm also in the Leadership Academy 2.0. Last year, I was in the Leadership Academy, and it was really exciting, so I decided I would do it again this year. And it gave me a chance to help other people and do more community service projects.
You don't have to go in order.
They have a
They have their
program.
habits. They're going to go through the habits.
All right. Good job, Maya.
Habit number 1 is be proactive, which means you're in charge. Some examples are you choose your attitudes and moods, and you are a responsible person. You control your insides.
Well, that's probably hard to choose your mood sometimes, I'll bet, huh? So that's something you have to really pay attention on? Yeah, that's good. Okay, good.
My name is Gianna Kusha, and the second habit is think of the end of mind. And it's like setting goals, like, and so that you don't have to rush, so that you can just go with it and you don't have to be all like confused. My name is Ava Calloway, and I'm habit 3. Put first things first. And that means work first and play after. For example, if you have homework to do, but you want to watch TV, you should do your homework first and then watch TV after.
I bet that's hard sometimes.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sophia Sugaris, and my habit is habit 4, think win-win. This means think about things that are supposed to be, like, think equal, not like, I did horrible at that. Like, if you're at a soccer game and you lose, you shouldn't say, oh, that was horrible, we didn't even try. You think, oh, at least we tried, we were trying.
Hi, I'm Brooke Tierney. I'm going to tell you about habit 5, which is seek first to understand, then to be understood, which means listen before you talk and listen to other people's ideas and feelings without interrupting.
That's a good one, huh, Brooke?
Hi, my name is Nathan Young, and I'm habit 6. It is synergize. That means work together, and one example of that is if you get stuck with a friend that you might not enjoy at that moment, you should just go with it and stay with it.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Kalick, and I have habit 7, sharpen the saw. That means that you should spend time with family and friends, and you should keep your body healthy by exercising right and doing the right things.
That was excellent. That was very good. Is it okay if we ask you guys some questions? And anyone can answer them, all right? Does anyone have any questions? I know I do. I'll kick it off if you want. So this program about leadership, does this make you like the IGO school even more, or is it a lot of work?
Yeah.
Or is it both?
Both.
What do you think, Maya?
It's a lot of work, but it pays off in the end
Oh.
when you get to be nice and help people.
It makes me like the IGO school more because I can spend more time here and learn to do things better.
It makes me more connected to the IGO school and it also makes me a better person in and out of school. Well, it makes the school funner and more like activities and more to do.
How about Mr. Stanton? Is he funner?
I think it's kind of both because it's a lot of work getting the projects together. The skit that we're doing, it's a lot of work to memorize all the lines and get everything just right, but it's really fun and it makes things sometimes really fun. Yeah, it makes school funner because like helping doing community projects, like it makes you feel good because like you know you're helping people.
It makes me feel like a much better person than I was when I was in the lower grades, and it gives me an opportunity to make a lot more friends and help the school's community.
Well, I like that we get to do a lot of community service work and we get to have fun with it too. So I think that it's both of them and I really like doing it.
Mrs. Bellinger has a question.
So I think you all said you were in 4th grade, so you're all going on to the Ahern School next year, right? Are you going to carry these habits with you? Do you think they'll help you in middle school?
Yes. They'll really help.
What do you think, well, they're all very important. What do you think might be most helpful? Go first.
The one that would be most helpful would be proactive, because a lot of kids get upset over nothing. Like, they wanted to play with a ball first, but another kid got it. And they just make all willy-nilly about that. And so they just go ahead and whine about it the rest of the week. And they just make a huge deal.
I think Maya was next.
I think the proactive habit run is the most important because since we're going to be the youngest in this school, maybe some like 8th grader or something will come along and like tell us the wrong directions to a class or something.
I hope not.
She must have an older sibling.
But and you can choose to like be sad about that or like I'm late or something, or you could just like go on with the day.
I think habit 1 and the habit 4, which I think win-win, is important because like you both win. Like just because you think you're the worst at something you're not, and you did some. Now when I was in the lower grades, I couldn't really control how I felt, but now I can't.
Good answers all around.
Now, our first habit that we worked on, and parents, I don't know if you've seen it, we said that they have to make their bed in the morning. Be proactive. So has that gone at all? All right, we're working on that. And that's part of our effort to make sure it's not just in school, it's not just one place, but really to do it over again and again. And just so proud, even the public speaking and coming here tonight and going in front of the classes and the entire school, just so proud of this group. And also their peers in 4th grade and 3rd grade as well.
You all have done very well tonight and explained everything very easily so we can understand.
Do you guys mind if we keep you for another minute or two with another question or two?
Go ahead.
Oh, Mr.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Excellent.
They're ready for you.
Mr. Uden over here has a comment or a
Well,
question.
first I want to thank you for getting it straight. So it's homework first, then TV, right? That's the rule. I wrote that down. But I want to thank and really commend all of you. Your presentation was excellent, and you were really prepared. But the thing I liked most about it is that you were following the habits, but you were all still yourselves. You weren't robots. And I think that's really cool because you're all so interesting. And I don't know you all. That would be a lie if I said that. But you're all such interesting kids. And I really want to thank you for coming. You've done a lot of work to get here. And you should be really proud of your team and your teachers to help you get here. Thank you so much.
And I want to tell you, I've been before the TV recently too to get my position here. I'm brand new tonight, and it's really hard. And Mr. Mortimer here was asking me lots of questions, and I was very nervous about answering the questions, and you guys handled it really, really well.
Thank you.
I have one more comment.
Go ahead.
I noticed when you guys had to apply to be in the Leadership Academy, and the front cover of the Leadership Academy registration form, they had to, it says, I agree to give my best effort every week and be a respectful, kind, and enthusiastic participant. I promise to follow the IGO way as I work to strengthen the leader in me. I promise to use my leadership skills in my school, home, and community so I can make a positive difference and be a role model for others. And thank you for doing that. You've come here, you've shown us that you are, and I hope you carry this with you in middle school and high school, definitely. But thank you for that. I also am going to photocopy. I have big kids. Mine are in 7th grade and 9th grade, and I'm photocopying this one. And that's going to be on their pillows when they get up in the morning.
Well, Mrs. Bellinger, you could send them back to 4th grade at the IGO school.
There you go.
I think these kids could teach mine a couple things. I actually do. Great job.
Mr. Stanton, was there anything else you or Mrs. Siddle wanted to cover?
No, just want to, we're excited, and I think next year what we're looking to do is to sort of see how we can expand this program. You know, the superintendent and Dr. Burtis have been incredibly supportive. So last year and this year, sort of quote-unquote pilot years, and we wanted to sort of see the response and talk to families as well. But the change that it can make, and I read the book every year. I need that reminder and that focus again and having that piece of it. It has been so positive, and I just can't say enough about the students that we have at the IGO school. We're just incredibly fortunate, and the families as well. They're very supportive. So our goal is to continue to grow the program each year. Ms. Siddle?
Just, it's a pleasure spending time with the students and, you know, learning a lot from them, you know, learning a lot from the program. So very proud of the sacrifices and the hard work that these kids have put in. Both the 3rd grade also as well that was not here tonight, and the other students that are in the program that weren't here tonight.
Well, that's terrific.
It just really shows the leadership that we have already, and we'll continue to grow and be great leaders as they already demonstrate, you know.
So I'd like you guys to do 2 final things for me. You ready? First is Mr. Everson is the man behind the wall over there who runs all of our cameras. You can't see him, but he does all the work. And I'll bet if he puts this camera on over here, you might be able to get a good shot of you guys for TV.
Oh, yeah.
See? Now you guys can wave, by
Your parents are all here watching.
Yeah, Maya's gonna have to see it. I can't see Maya.
There you go.
We're going to have you turn. Nope, keep
Right there.
standing.
Look right up here,
Perfect.
Maya. Look right up
Perfect.
there.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you very much.
And the second thing I want you guys to do is give yourselves a round of applause, because you did a great job. Now, the good news is you don't have to stay for the rest of our meeting. You can go home with Mom and Dad now if you want. Thank you for coming to our meeting. This was
Thank you,
great.
guys.
Thank you.
Great job.
15 to the 29th, right?
Yes.
More than welcome, and we'll send out a reminder.
Maybe we can get it into Burrell and,
Not this time.
I worry, yeah,
Go ahead.
Burrell and Taylor. Hint, Amy.
I do think that's the obvious question, Amy, is, you know, how hard is it to take a program like that and move it around and copy it at each of the other schools?
I don't think that it's,
Or do you think they have similar other programs?
I think that it's the flavor of each of the buildings, and they have many different things. That's something that's kind of in tune, but I can tell you that there's a lot of interest too at the same time. And that's a program that was meant to be replicated.
Excellent.
But again, to take your own flavor for it, and I think the connection to the caring school communities is really taking programs that is a consistent program across our schools and putting their own flavor, like the IGO way, to it.
In all 3 elementary schools, when they came to us with their school improvement plans, they were, you know, very similar, but not the same, not identical. They all had their own, and I know IGO had the leadership piece in there, and it was different in the Taylor and different in the Borough, which is good, because each school is a unique entity and has elements, you know, of this kind of program, but not exactly the same thing. But I know all 3 had the community service. It's just execution is a little bit different, which is
That,
completely
and again,
appropriate.
it's that common piece too is with the
Right.
caring school community.
Yeah.
So those habits play into the characteristics that we find very valuable when we want to emulate across all 3 schools, no matter how it looks.
That's great. Any other comments?
What a great program.
Great program. Okay, and we are on to our update on the high school annual physical education requirement.
All right, if we can ask Ms. Janelle Erskine to come up to the table. As you know, she is the department head of the Wellness K-12 program. And one of the things that the committee had asked was to have an update where we had the new requirement for 4 years of physical education and look at how that went this year, look at the numbers of students and who chose what, since we had a lot of different opportunities. So I'll turn it over to Janelle.
And if I just can, Janelle, for anyone who's watching or isn't aware with the background of this, as Amy said, was a state requirement that we have PE for 4 years, right?
Yes.
And so I think we had tightened up our policy to ensure that that was available here at Foxborough High School, but I know that with Diana's help, you guys were a little creative in terms of how we would implement that. So appreciate you coming and giving us a report on how you see it's been, and any comments, suggestions, thoughts, support you need from us to go forward.
Okay. It's gone great. It's been very, very a smooth transition. This year, the 11th graders were required to take PE, and the seniors, they were not required. It will roll over into next year, or this upcoming school year. 11th and 12th graders will be required. We offered a variety of electives this year: personal training, yoga, basketball, team sports, group exercise, a before-school program. And the 12th graders were allowed to choose PE as an elective, and 57 of them chose to take it as an elective this year. So I thought that was really great, that even though it was not a requirement, that they wanted to be down there and they wanted to stay active. So that was really good. The electives were not as popular as we thought they were going to be. If you look at the numbers, they're not that high. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the kids want to be in the general phys ed class. They like a variety. We offer choices, and I think they like just being in the gym and having a lot of different options to do on a daily basis. So most of the 11th graders chose to be in the regular PE. Some of them did choose electives, though. Yoga was very popular. Next year, 62 kids chose to be in yoga. Actually, I should explain this. So on the chart that we had given you, it says how many chose them and then how many were able to fit into the schedule. So the way the scheduling works is all their other classes are scheduled first and then we're scheduled last. So if they might want to take team sports, but team sports is only offered during period 2 and they have English during period 2. So it just doesn't always work out.
Many more wanted to participate than were actually able to because of schedule
Yeah, for the
conflicts. I mean,
electives,
I
yeah.
was very excited to read that column.
Yeah.
That's good.
So like for next year, we had 62 that chose yoga, and I was able to get 56 in by we eliminated basketball. Only 7 kids could fit basketball on their schedule, so I added a yoga section in and eliminated basketball, and then we were able to get almost all the students that chose yoga in by having the 2 periods because it made it easier for them to get it into their schedule. So I think that's what we'll continue to do, is offer a variety, see what people pick, and then plug in the teachers where there is the demand for the classes and kind of work that way. So.
And then also, too, with this year, where Janelle was talking about the number of seniors who were not required, and 57 of them were in the general phys ed classroom, some of the numbers for those other electives are also seniors as well.
Right.
So they chose some of the electives
Yeah.
in addition to the seniors that were choosing the regular physical education class. You might want to talk a little bit about the AM class and how that has played out for those that have not been able or chose not to fit it into their
Yeah.
schedule.
So next year there's about 33 students signed up for the before school phys ed, and it's been great. The kids really appreciate it. So kids who want to take multiple AP courses, or if they know they want to go to school for art and they want to take multiple art electives, or the engineering elective has been very popular, so if they want to take engineering and they want to take art, they just don't have room for the phys ed requirement in their schedule. Some of them have chose to take the before school program. Yeah. So 33 kids have signed up for it last year.
I'd say our electives
Next
are
year.
a success.
And what time does the before school run?
6:30.
They're here at 6:30.
6:30 to 7:15. Yep, Miss Petrovic makes sure they're here at 6:30.
They were doing their fitness the other morning. Last week when I pulled in a quarter of. They were
Yeah,
there
so it runs.
running around outside.
Yeah, they run on their own schedule, and so like we're on a rotating drop schedule, so the days of the week would be different every time. And some of the music students have before school marching band or before school leadership club, so she meets with the group at the beginning of the semester, and they decide 2 days a week that they're going to come, so it stays the same day of the week every day, which eliminates the issues with, I didn't know what day it was, or I thought it was a day 2 and it was a day 3, so I didn't show up. So they pick, and it's like Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever is the most convenient for the group.
Other comments, thoughts?
No, keep up the good work.
Janelle, any changes you would make based on this year? I mean, I know this was the first year we rolled it out, and it sounds like it takes a
Yeah,
little...
not until I want to see how next year's scheduling goes. I think everything will be okay. The only issue that I think we may have next year is there are a few periods in our schedule that tend to be heavy periods number-wise.
Heavy PE periods?
Yeah,
or
just as a result of
the way the rest of the
the way the rest of
the
the school functions. So when we add the seniors in to those heavy periods, we may have some sections that have
big numbers. or
really,
bigger.
really big numbers, and then some sections that have really low numbers. So we're gonna see how it kind of plays out once the students get scheduled, and then we may need to make adjustments for the following school year based on that.
Steve, did you have a comment?
Just, did you get any parental or home feedback about any of this that would help improve it, or? I got none. Well, when we were moving towards this, I got feedback,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard any since the implementation. I'm just wondering if you got any.
No,
or if
no,
you're
and
working
to
with
be
what
honest
have.
with you, I thought we were going to get more negative feedback, and there really has not been much negative feedback at all. We were even commenting at lunch about 3 or 4 months into school. Has anyone heard any of the juniors complain about being in phys ed? And we're like, no. So they just
Thank you.
I think
It
that
is what
speaks
it
to
is,
your
yeah.
department too. They have an excellent department and really responsive to kids. And just by looking at the electives here, I mean, looking at things like yoga doubling, they're listening to the needs of the kids.
Yeah, I could hear that. It's
Yeah,
great.
and we're seeing that, because we talked about there need to be some flexibility and some, learning curve for all of us, so, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Janelle, any thought about offering electives? I'm on policy kind of now, but any thought on maybe making this available to 10th graders, for example, or,
The electives.
well, yeah, or,
The main challenge that we have with the electives right now is we don't have, with it being a small school, having enough, having the staff in
yeah.
enough numbers we can't run small sections, because what happens when you run a small section is another section has 40 kids in it when one section has 17 or 18 in it. So I don't know.
so
how-
staffing might be an inhibitor
Yeah, I
to that.
don't know how it would work, because I've been trying to think about all different things. And I like having the variety of required activities for the 9th and 10th graders, because it gives them an opportunity to introduce them to things and develop skills in areas that they may have just not tried or given up on if they weren't required to kind of do. And the kids like the variety. I think as a result of looking at the low numbers of people choosing electives, the kids like changing things up and having a variety of activities to kind of keep it interesting. It's just like anyone when you're exercising. If you do the same thing over and over again, it gets boring. You kind of need to keep it fresh.
And this is a half-year requirement for the 11th and 12th?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's 2 semesters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can take it first semester or second semester.
But only for a half.
Only for half a year, yeah. Or they can choose to take it for the whole year if
Like
they,
in-
if they pick if they elect
But they
to.
the requirement is for a half year,
Mhm.
your junior year, and a half year, your senior year, starting next year.
Yes.
So I appreciate your comment about staff might be tough to enable more electives sooner. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about your thoughts on something we talked about before we voted on instituting the policy, which was for athletes who are on recognized sports teams for the school, who are pressed on time and don't have a lot of elective flexibility in their schedule. Have you any more thoughts about whether this makes sense for athletes?
Yeah. I mean, I think that what they're getting from phys ed class is a lot different than what they're getting from a sports team. They're not going to play football beyond high school. Most people beyond college are not going to be playing football. So what we're trying to do is introduce them to a variety of lifelong activities that they can use to stay healthy all the way into adulthood to keep themselves busy. Whereas soccer, football, their sports are good and you learn a lot in them, but you're not going to be able to continue to do that over the course of your life to remain healthy and maintain your fitness level.
Do we teach some of those life skills in the PE, the traditional PE, or just in the electives?
Oh yeah, we teach them every third class is a fitness focused day. So
Okay.
we do everything you could imagine. We do medicine ball workouts and physio ball workouts and yoga and Pilates and weight training and plyometrics, and we have cardio focus days, and we kind of teach them every possible way that you can exercise so that they can
that's
feel
good.
comfortable doing
So they
it.
don't have to get to the electives in 11th and 12th in order to get some of those lifelong skills.
Oh yeah, no, we cover in 9th and 10th grade. We go through a full cycle of team sports, individual sports, fitness-based activities. So they get a variety of activities.
Right. Sounds like it's running pretty well, and as Amy said, I heard in your comments, you're looking at it with a flexible eye and making adjustments as you need to, which is great.
Yeah, and before I came, I asked some students, I checked in with guidance, I asked a few other teachers just to kind of get some feedback from everyone, because sometimes when you're in it, you don't always hear the comments outside of it, and all the feedback that I received was good, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, Janelle, thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
I think we'll see that evolve too, don't you? Those numbers on some of those electives.
Well, because they're willing to, when only 7 are there, they open up 2 classes so that it can accommodate 62.
Well, one of the new electives is the Warrior Teammate class, which is new this next school year, so that'll be interesting. As more kids do something and enjoy it and positive feedback is out there, then other kids want to get involved, yeah.
Okay, thank you for getting that on our agenda. I appreciate it. So now we're going to move on to Ms. Myers-Pakla and Ms. White on their annual guidance services update, if I'm not mistaken, right, Amy?
So this is a very large report that you have here and one that you've seen each year. And I'm sure if you're like me, there's different pieces of it that you tend to go right to because there is so much information that's there. I know there's particular places that I look to right away. But I'll turn it over to Laureen, and that way she can speak
I'm
to
just
some of the
moral
highlights.
support.
Lorraine, let me just preface it by saying that we're a few minutes early, which is great, and thank you for getting yourself here early. But you have a little time, and to me, this is always such a valuable report, and I don't know that everyone at home knows that you produce this. So why don't we take as much time as you need to maybe walk through what's in here.
Okay.
And if you want to do it a little bit more in detail than you typically do. But I'm always impressed, and I want to make sure everyone knows what's available in this document.
Right,
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I had highlighted a couple things that I want to talk about, but please just let me know. So we do this annual report, and we have it broken up into different segments. The first one was guidance services, and basically we just give the vision of what we see the purpose of the guidance department and how we hope to help students. And then in that section, we give a little description of some of the things that we do. One of them is Naviance, which I find extremely helpful, and the different aspects that you can, different things that you can access through Naviance. And then we talked about transmission. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, do you wanna give a few examples?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So we could do resume writer, we could explore careers. What a lot of the students do is use it for college search. You can really minimize your college search and help you make some choices. The scattergrams, which is there is a handout at kind of near the end. I'll get to it in a couple minutes, but that is a great visual, which gives students what their GPA is in colleges, and if there's a good chance that they can get accepted to that. We talk about the common application that's on there and all the different schools that take the college common application. And you can log on it at home or at school. We do it in the guidance classes, but you need a lot more time than that. So that's Naviance.
It's incredible.
It's a
that this is
great
accessible.
program. Oh, it's great.
At home for people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what we have helped facilitate.
Yeah.
our students.
Well, it's
is
also
incredible.
everything in one spot. So they start when they're younger, doing the research of, their aptitudes and different interests, and then they can just build on it. And then they start their resume, and then every year they can build on it. So it's everything in one spot. Their SATs are shown, their ACTs. So one-stop shopping.
My son's a junior, so it's very helpful this year.
Just think of what I could have been if I had all this help on
Yes,
the way.
all this guidance.
And then we go into a little bit about how we try to help the 8th graders move up to the 9th grade, the different transition and things that we do to hopefully help them transition smoothly to the high school. And I also mentioned here the tutoring program that we're lucky enough to have here at the high school with math and English, and they're within the school building day after day. And communication with parents. The 504 plans, and I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. So there are 504 plans for students, and we have about 50 to 60 students a year on 504s to really help them access the curriculum. Okay. The scheduling procedure, which is a huge part of what we do, a lot of the scheduling and how we help the students, whether individually or in a group, and the different meetings we have, and the program of studies night, and like Wednesday we have the AP night. And there's a lot of nights built in through the year to try to help the students make wise choices, to challenge themselves but not overwhelm. It's a fine line.
And that's something that as many parents as possible should take advantage of.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
If they have questions about dates of when they can just call your office, call the high school, and
Absolutely.
learn more about that.
Yep. Next page. Oh, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and you put those dates out, they're done at the beginning of the school year, so parents can access any of those dates or take a look online to see what it is that they, depending upon what year their child is, as to what they may need or want, or the nights that they would like to attend.
I think, remind me if we have overwhelming participation at those, but I don't remember that in the past. And yet we have so many questions as parents, and as students who are coming to the high school or going from one grade to the next, that I think those nights are so very valuable. That you guys stay late and the staff comes and a lot of the teachers, and you're talking to department chairs, and you really have an opportunity to have parents and students ask questions, and I think I'd like to see us continue to publicize those so that people can all take advantage of, because as Lorene, you said, the information's all there.
It is,
Just come
absolutely.
and,
Right, absolutely. The next page, page 6, is one that I had highlighted, and just please let me know if you have any questions. But what I just want to emphasize is the AP. We really are trying to get students to take AP classes. And what we do is when they take the PSATs, there's a spreadsheet, we can figure out if you have an 80% chance or better of getting a 3 or better on the AP, we really want you to take the class. And so we put in the spreadsheet of how many 10th and 11th graders, graduating class of 2016, 2017, we invited to take AP classes. Now, that's just one thing, it's the PSATs. You do have to look at many other factors to see if they're going to be successful in an AP class. But that's where it begins, can they do the work if they have the work ethic and so forth. And so I always find that one very interesting, of how many students we invite per year to take AP classes.
so I'm sorry to be doing so
Yeah,
much
sorry.
talking tonight. The committee's gonna think, great, we reappoint the guy and he takes over. But, we talk about using technology and data and analytics, and the fact that you're looking at PSATs, and I suppose this isn't the most advanced analytics example, but, the fact that we're looking at the data off the PSATs to recommend which students or invite which students you'd like to see take APs, and the fact that you take the approach that we want as many students taking as many APs as possible, I think that's great.
Yeah, well, there's a direct correlation between taking an AP class and having success in college. So we're trying to prepare them as much as we can for the next step.
But
so.
it's not just the PSATs,
It's-
it's the class grade and the prerequisites. If you
Yep.
go through the
Desire.
program of studies, the desire, but it does lay
Yeah.
out pretty
Yeah.
clearly in the program of
Yeah.
studies as well. So, but
Yep.
you're looking for maybe a student who might have untapped
Yes,
potential
yep.
that might show up in the PSATs.
Absolutely, absolutely. So.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the next page is another page I wanted to emphasize. So Joe O'Neill, fabulous. So he does our college counseling. But what we're doing this year is we're going to add a little component. A lot of students are starting earlier for the college research process. So he's willing to come in a few days over the summer. We're going to set up students so they can start, because a lot of the students want to get a huge head start before the school year starts, because senior year is very, very busy. So Joe and I have come up with some dates, and we're going to come in, and he's going to be able to meet with some students prior.
Mini workshops
Mini
ahead of time
workshops,
instead
yes.
of waiting till the fall.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's something new with Joe.
Just to stop there for a minute, if I may, and I think that's such a great idea, because the summertime is the opportunity for students that might not be thinking about a particular place that they might be interested or would meet their needs, and just having it over the summer, it allows them before the school year begins. Let's take a visit, and now I'm thinking about it a little bit more, and I have a little bit more time in order to take that trip or to ask a few more questions, because once the school year does start, I'm living this myself with a junior and senior in my own house. It goes so quickly, and to have that opportunity to ask more questions and to possibly visit some places with a very different purpose in mind can be helpful.
Or start that essay.
Or start that essay.
Because as you said, once the school year begins, you can get caught up in the throes of what you need to do academically or what you're involved in with co-curriculars or sports. So just to have that little bit of that foot in the door can sometimes be that push to keep it moving, that momentum going forward. So we're excited about this.
Yeah, that'd be good. So a couple of things is that we have the National College Fair, which we bring the students into Boston every year. It's a great success. They can visit so many schools. And then there's college nights and financial nights. Joe O'Neill does these small groups. We do the large invite to have these, big nights at the school, but then some people want just the more individual attention, so he runs several Thursdays, and it's usually between, I want to say 3 and 8 parents come, and he's able to really answer some of their individual questions. BBST, I think we're all familiar with, response to intervention, which we meet on a regular basis. Mental health team, we meet on a regular basis of students who are struggling with mental health issues that affect their academics. Financial literacy is always an important part. We do it within developmental guidance, but we also take the entire 12th grade class. Last few years, it's been at Wheaton College, where we bring them and they do a simulation and so forth. We're going to continue that next year, maybe in a little different, but we're still going to continue that because we think that's very important. Individual counseling.
I like the financial literacy a lot, because it's such a life skill.
It really is.
And the feedback from the students and just their conversation, because we're usually, hearing that as they do come back. And even, I haven't been able to attend next year, it's on my docket of things to do. But the conversations then that folks have come back with to say, that they're overhearing students go, oh my God, I can't get that new car. I've got insurance to pay, or, I'm gonna go for this instead of for that, or I can't believe the cost of this instead of that. So, the merits of it are certainly there, there's no doubt about it.
And the shock really sets in when they have their first paycheck and they have to spend money on toothpaste and all these things and
So true.
And the taxes that come out.
the
all of that.
taxes that come out.
So then on page 11 too, the ACTs and SATs, I think you're familiar, they're changing. The SATs significantly, but the ACTs a little. So we had an evening in the spring, and the turnout was okay. We had a few people, but we really think the parents really need to know the changes so they can work with their kids at home. So we're going to probably have another one in the fall. So hopefully we'll get some more parents there. Because I think the students as well as the parents really need to know how it's changing.
Do you want to just maybe share briefly a little bit about, the SATs are the more popular exam in our area of the country to take, and the ACTs are oftentimes popular in other areas, and we're really trying to have the students participate in both of these. And do you want to explain a little bit about
So
that?
exactly what she said, like over here, my generation never heard of ACTs, and then if you lived in California, they'd never heard of SATs. So it just really depends on where you live, the culture. And our students typically don't take the ACTs because their parents are like, what are those? So we're trying to get parents to understand the ACTs and SATs are both accepted for every college. And some students really do better on the SATs, but a lot of kids don't take it. You know, they just think SATs. So one of our goals is to get every student, every 11th grader, to take both the SATs and the ACTs in whichever, style works better for you, and then maybe take that a second time. Because, again, I think it's more the parents maybe who have not heard of the ACTs. We really need to educate them as well, so that the students will, because we're telling the kids at school to take both.
Is there a model, an older one you could look at for an ACT?
Is there a model like of the test
well,
questions?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know that. Could
Yep.
I come in and look at it sometime?
Absolutely.
Please?
And we say that they're more similar, the way the questions are worded are more similar to MCAS. So students who do well on MCAS tend to do pretty good on ACTs. And the other benefit of it is if you're applying to some schools that need subject tests, you can use your ACTs in lieu of the subject tests. So that can help you as well. So, yeah, we really are trying, we want the students to start taking both the tests once. Okay, next page is senior apprentice at the middle and elementary school. I think everybody knows we have a few kids every year going out to do an internship down at the middle or the elementary school. I'm not sure how many we're gonna have next year, but I'm going with about 8. Senior project, okay, so that is kind of a huge one. Last year, we had a few students who took advantage of it. This year, we have about 60 seniors out. And so far, Mrs. Pillsbury's gone to visit every single one of them at least once. It's just phenomenal. The kids are doing so well, and they're loving it. So again, we're gonna continue that next year, and I'm really looking forward to the project, the presentations to see what the kids have done, and so that has been great.
In this past week, there's a small snapshot of Liam's Collins. And so I was gonna get it to you because you might wanna clip it as part of the senior project. 3 of us went to Day on the Hill. So we met him as he was Jay Barrows' aide.
Oh, that is
So,
great. Yeah.
Page 8 of last week's.
Okay.
Diana, can I ask you a question about senior project? Do we have a capacity limitation to how many we could offer that to? Is there anything that, yeah.
Not really, just to be honest with you. We weren't sure how it was going to, work out. 60 this year, it's been great. Tell you the truth, the biggest obstacle has been trying to take AP classes and do senior project. So that's difficult. So some kids have to make the decision, like, I know senior project would be great for me, but I have 5 APs and it's just not gonna work. No, but you know what I'm saying? So there's those decisions that have to be made. And then also just finding placements. We have to make sure that we have good, solid placements, because Mrs. Pillsbury goes and checks them out before we allow our students to go there. So as long as she can kind of handle the load, we would love everybody to do it. I don't know sure if that's where we'll end up, because again, the AP tends to be the biggest obstacle. So we'll see.
This is definitely one of the biggest advantages at the school committee by bringing Ellen in-house to actually run the program for us. You basically gave yourself the ability to do this without having made that change a little over a year ago. You never would be able to do it.
Absolutely.
So
I was
think,
thinking the same exact thing.
Not in the numbers that we have, because you could run it in a smaller number to have somebody in-house somewhat overseeing it, but the students would probably be more responsible for needing to find their place, and then we would check it out. But Ellen will just have students who come down and say, I really wanna do this, what can I do? And she'll feel out for where's your interest, what are you thinking you might like to do? And then frequently, we're all brainstorming of, oh geez, maybe, what about a this, or what about a that? And, and she'll make the phone calls and see if this or that is willing to take somebody on in whatever the capacity might be. And the community's been so supportive of us, both, the immediate Foxborough community as well as surrounding, and even within the community, it's folks then that have given us leads, or it's their workplace or a branch of something that they're doing that has then allowed us to be able to send our students in. And, I do that knock on wood, but our students so represent us so well and represent themselves so well. That we've got places that, okay, yeah, we'll try this, we'll see how it is, who are now like, we can't wait till next year. So I don't know that the capacity that will reach a max. I do think that really it's a natural piece with the APs. And we do have students that have taken 1 or 2 or 3 because they've had a flex, and we lessen the number of hours that the students go out, but they have to have a very flexible workplace that they're going to because of the rotation in the schedule that we do have. However, what does open up is now that APs have ended for the last week or 2 weeks, depending upon whether they were a first AP, they could then go out to their work site on a full-time basis if they so chose to do
How
that.
long do the seniors, because I'm in shock, I realized as we came in, the 22nd is this Friday,
Yeah.
not a week from Friday.
No, right.
Will the students continue to work for a while on their projects, or does that end?
Okay, so it's scheduled to end as long as, they work it out with the individual owner or, workplace. So some people are still going to continue working. Actually, a few of them have been offered jobs, so, things, yes. So things work, but typically they can end on Friday, and then they have to come in next week when the kids do their finals, and they're going to do presentations to us. So they're coming in next week to do their presentation for senior project, so. But it officially ends this Friday.
Yes.
So the next group, I probably won't spend too much time on it, but it's developmental guidance. We do meet with the students in a group, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and we just, again, Naviance from day one, but we basically go through developmentally what they'll need to get to where we're hoping they all, and well, most of them end up is to the college process in 12th grade. So again, that's kind of boring, so I don't think I have to go. Okay, but anyways, when you get towards the end, it says program of studies. The page after program of studies is just, I don't really need to go over this with you because you guys approved it, but it's the new art courses are in there, and the Algebra B course, and you just went over with Janelle, the physical education, the 2 physical education new courses. So those are in there as well. The next section is, again, talking about what Ellen Pillsbury does for the school. We just list all the different programs that she's involved with, and how many students she services within the school. Just this week, she went to Bridgewater for the teachers, and kids who are interested in teaching, but it's always something. It seems like every month or two that there's something going on. So Senior Project has taken up a big chunk of that now, which is good, and Credit Fair for Life. Okay, the next information, which tends to be what everybody really is interested in, but it's the college. The last is the college info. The beginning is what it's always been, which is our oh my goodness, I can't think of the word. What is it?
It's like a brochure.
Yeah, a brochure, that's not the right word,
It's
but
not
anyways,
called a
okay.
brochure, but
And then there's the transcripts, how they look, and then the Common App. And then you get to, kind of the middle, it says the end of the year report. So, what we like to do is just give you information of how things change from year to year. So our graduating class this year is 213. And about 173 of those 213 are going on to college, which is 81%. 33% are going to private, and 48 are going to public. Okay. Then a 2-year college is about 7% next year, and trade schools 3%, military 2%, workforce 7%, and post-grad less than 1%. I think there's just one student. So if you look at the numbers across the years, it is about the same. It goes up, it goes down. It just depends on the senior class. This year we have a significant amount going into the workforce. Last year, a little less. So it just changes from year to year, but it pretty much stays the same. We're a college. We get our students ready for college. That's what we do most of. Yep.
Our total numbers, when you take a look at them, of students continuing their education beyond high school, we're in the high 80% to the low 90% is where we land. We're always going to have a few students who are going to go into the workforce. We always have students who will go into the military. They do not fall into that category. Absolutely.
It's the right place for them to. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? So I don't want to say that, it's just, every year it does change a little bit, and it is reflective of society. And even the public and private depends on the economy. That changes from year to year as well. Yeah, so, again, so next, 2015, we have 91% going to either 4-year, 2-year, or a trade school. Okay, and then the next bit of information is again, just data that you can look at, but we just wanted you to know where our students applied, do they get accepted, are they attending there, have they been denied or waitlisted? So it's, there's certain schools that are definitely more popular to apply to than others, and regionally, our kids tend to stay around here, you know, so there are some that go different places, but they tend to stay in the New England area.
Any just funny, interesting surprises this year that, you know, wow, a bunch went here that are going? Or-
We have a lot of students going to, or have been accepted to, I should say.
Right.
I don't want to say that they're actually going, because things are still a little up in the air, but to some Ivy League schools and so forth. We have a huge percentage this year.
Really?
So,
Which
yeah,
ones?
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we have Brown, we have Stanford, we have, I don't want to miss any, I'd be embarrassed, because, yeah. I know that.
There were 7 or 10 students, right? Something,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
number, something like
Yeah.
that. right?
Brown and Stanford were two more
Yeah.
recent ones, so.
So sorry, I should have brought that with me.
No, it's
Sorry,
okay.
Bev. And just the last three are those scattergrams I told you about. I'm a visual learner, so it really helps you. You can see where your GPA is and where your SAT scores in, and you can see the people around you that either got accepted or denied to see if you have a chance. And we just did UMass Amherst, Bridgewater, but you can do this on Naviance with every single school, Northeastern, so forth. And lastly, is the scholarships. So we have the John and Abigail Scholarship. We had a lot of students this year who also did the COPLIC, if they didn't get the John and Abigail Scholarship. And then also the scholarships that are gonna be done on scholarship night or graduation or wherever they should fall. We just listed them in the back. So, that's it. Like I said, for people out in the public, we usually try to keep a couple of these copies in the, at the IGO and so forth, so if people ever wanted to see this, we put one usually in the library. So we try to put these around town, for people to take a look at whenever. And any questions?
Good job again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
They're a busy department.
Pleasure. It's a good department, yep.
Other comments?
I don't have any questions. I did want to point out, you said that the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, that it's 62 of our 213 graduating seniors, 62 of them received the scholarship, which is really amazing. I mean,
In addition to that too, so they get the tuition
Right.
in Massachusetts school.
And that's based on, they do give it to the top 25% of the class, so it's always that same percentage. So you
Okay.
may see another school
With the
that
same-
has higher numbers,
Okay.
but if you take a look at their overall number of students, it's based on that 25% approximately.
Yeah, and the same benefit is the COPLIC scholarship, so we have probably another 8 students that are applying for the COPLIC, and that is, just depends on how they do on their AP exams or subject tests, but they'll get the free tuition too, so you're getting up to about 60 students that have the opportunity to get free tuition
And
at
the
a state
COPLIC is both
colleges.
the MCAS scores as well as those additional scores.
Exactly, they have to have 2 additional scores,
And that's usually AP.
so, yeah, AP or subject tests, yep. Mhm.
Every bit helps.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anything else for Lorraine or Diana? Well,
Oh, thank you.
my favorite document. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some overnight travel requested.
I don't think, doesn't Diana have to come right back up
Oh,
for
I'm right
this?
here.
Hi.
This is very exciting, I'm very excited.
Yes. I'm Irene Titmus. And I'm Christine Smith. And we have been co-advisors for the Spanish exchange to Valencia for a number of years now. And since that trip only runs every other year, we have looked for other opportunities in the off years. And in the past, we've gone to Mexico, we've gone to other parts of Spain, including Burgos and Almuñécar. And this year, we have researched several different companies. We really like this company, Vámonos Tours. And we propose to take the students next year to Puerto Rico during February vacation. I think that you all have the packets about the tour
Yep, we do.
company, and we're very impressed with them for a number of reasons. They have focused exclusively on trips to Puerto Rico, educational travel. The man that started the company is a former teacher.
They know the island very well. They have an office in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and they have one in Delaware. It's a really nice opportunity for our students to see a really brilliant and lively Hispanic culture without really leaving U.S. territory. So they won't need passports. Cell phones won't be an issue. They just have really extensive cultural experience for our students. It's not touristy. They eat local. They stay in local. They call them paradors. They're owned by families. They're small hotels. The cultural experiences include music and dance and art. They'll see the only tropical rainforest in the United States. It's El Yunque in Puerto Rico. Their safety protocol was really very important to us, and we think that they really have a handle on it. They have 2 chaperones with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One of them is from Puerto Rico and is generally has experience working with the local police enforcement, so we feel pretty safe with regards to that. Anything else? Did I miss anything? A lot of things, I'm sure.
There are some things we could say, but we're just curious if you have any questions for us. We could certainly respond to them.
¿Puedo venir también?
Claro que sí, sin problema.
Did you just ask if you can go with them? I picked up on that.
Yep, you're good.
Oh my God, I saw her face light up.
I'll be going to Puerto Rico this summer on vacation, so I will have the opportunity, sorry. I've never presented in front of the school boards in probably 20 years. So
Maybe she would just share a personal element too
yeah,
about this,
I'm
which I
going to
think
Puerto
is
Rico this
wonderful.
summer with my family, and we'll be spending 2 weeks there, so I'll have the opportunity to check out a lot of the venues, to actually go on some of the excursions. I'll stay at some of the paradors myself, and I feel like that will really give us a great handle on what we're going to be doing and seeing
And I
over
want to stop
there.
and say, that is the kind of faculty we have, and Irene has done this before they even considered going to Mexico. She, on her own time, went to Mexico and studied the entire venue before she even brought it to the table.
Yeah.
Irene, did you say you aren't used to presenting to this board? we're very difficult. No, in all seriousness, you know, we've been talking about expanding our students' exposure to cultures. In fact, I can't wait to talk China here in a few minutes.
Oh, right.
So I don't know if the committee has questions, but you certainly have presented how well thought out and vetted this is.
The most important part of this is they are keeping the language and the culture alive on an off year. When that happened to me because of the Gulf War,
Yeah.
I scooped the students up and off we went to Costa Rica and rainforests and climbing around volcanoes and things like that. To keep the Spanish culture alive.
Right. And we think it's a really great opportunity. And, you know, global citizenship is a big
Yeah.
buzzword now, and we really believe that having that connection with the culture is just a tremendous way of opening their eyes and broadening their experience and having them see that there's really a lot more out there and the Puerto Rican culture is it's just a very vibrant culture, but very different than Spain as well. So I think it's a nice opportunity.
And if ever it's like anything happens to French exchange, we'll have to make sure Kathy Joseph goes to Martinique or something. On one of the personal
Can I
reconnaissance
go on that
tours.
trip?
And we've got 2 very traveled individuals with these 2 ladies, that there's no doubt about it, both with the
Many
exchange
exchanges.
as well as doing the Mexico trips or the off-year trips with the students as well.
I don't have any questions. I read through all the materials, and the proposed itinerary looks fantastic. I was talking to my freshman son about it.
Yes.
God, this looks great. So thank you for all the time that you put into, you know, the thought process. And, you know, I trust that if you find something that needs changing, you're going to tweak it after your trip this summer. But it sounds like a wonderful opportunity for our kids. So thank you for all of the effort you put into planning this out already. So I think it's great.
Want to make a motion?
I make a.
Just ask
Oh,
Sure.
my standard going on tour question.
Okay.
And Bill will probably answer this, but I just want to make sure that all the insurance and safety for the children, including that we know or don't know whether or not the power doors need to be Corey certified and those sorts of things?
The Parador owners are generally, if you read through this material, it does say that everybody that they work with they do a background check on everybody, and that they will have, their 2 chaperones will be with us all the time as well, and one of them stays up a couple extra hours after the students have gone to bed to make sure, and they have a 24-hour concierge on site all the time. And there's a safety page to go.
Yeah, I saw it on the back. I just wanted to thank you and get that out in the open. Thank you.
Are
Anything
you
else?
gonna let the octopus crawl up your arm?
Oh, I would. I would absolutely do that.
Starfish hunting?
All of the
See,
above.
why I asked
The
if it's
bioluminescent bay. From what I understand, Vamonos Tours is one of the only companies that does that particular trip. They have 3 bioluminescent bays in Puerto Rico, and some of them you can only kayak in or canoe. And this one is one that they can actually go in at night and see right up close. That's going to be such an amazing experience for them. So geography, ecosistemas, biology.
Principal traveling with them.
Well,
School committee,
Yes. I move that we approve the 2016 Puerto Rico proposed trip on February vacation week.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Terrific. So this is open to any Spanish student.
Any student taking Spanish. We wouldn't probably turn them away if they didn't take Spanish, but I wouldn't see anyone that would want to.
And the rough cost, you guys may have mentioned this and I may have forgotten already, but
but it's mentioned in here.
It depends on how many travelers.
$2,295 to
Yes.
$2,555.
And we were able to
Ballpark.
negotiate with the company too. They generally only have 1 chaperone with 10 students, and they really worked with us to make it possible for us to both be able to go.
Excellent.
So parents or students listening who want to go to Puerto Rico next February, who are studying Spanish, who have that kind of money, they should start planning.
Start saving.
Start working.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting us on the agenda tonight.
Thank you for bringing this to us. Okay, world language curriculum review, right?
Yes. Have Karen Frazier come up first, and we have some of our committee members from the World Language Curriculum Review as well. Karen, your presentation is right on that laptop. It's just minimized. If you want to bring that up, and I'll do a little bit of an introduction here. So as you know, with our 6-year curriculum cycle, we're studying a different curriculum each year. And this year is science as well as world language. And with world language, it's a K-12 curriculum versus the science, where we'll have Paul and Allison at one of the next meetings in June. But Karen has led up a team of 7 other teachers that represent elementary, middle, and high school. And that has been a year-long study where they have gone through and studied everything from our own curriculum to what the latest research is and a number of different standards, as well as a lot of the data that we've collected, and she'll get into all of that. So I will turn it over to Karen.
Thank you. Very happy to be here tonight to share with you the exciting work that we've been doing for the past year. The committee did consist of 7 other teachers. Very grateful for all of the hard work that they've put into this curriculum review for the past year. We're very fortunate to have a team of such talented and dedicated teachers with us. So I would like to thank in particular Zach Diorsi, Maureen Brawley, Lee Ritchie, Deborah Grant, Kathleen Joseph, Jessica McAllister, and Irene Titmus. So one of the biggest things that I think we portrayed in the report and that I'd like to talk about tonight is how much world language teaching and learning has changed since you or I even were in the classroom studying languages. Today in 21st century world language learning, the language study really is completely embedded in the culture. And by culture, we mean the products of the countries and the practices and perspectives of the people from those countries. Units are designed around global interdisciplinary themes, And there's been a major national shift in the last 2 to 3 years towards really focusing on students' proficiency in the language and pushing for what students are able to produce in the language and at what levels they're able to function. So students are assessed in 3 different modes of communication. The first is interpretive, which is the listening and reading comprehension. Presentational, which is your presentational speaking or writing for a particular audience. And the interpersonal mode, which is your conversation or the exchange of letters, emails, or text messages. And one of the biggest changes probably is how much technology has impacted the world language classroom, because it really does allow us to bring the world into the classroom and provide our students with authentic resources from the target cultures and to give them opportunities to interact in a more authentic way in the language. So we began this process in October, and our first step was to look at our department vision statement, which we developed together in August of 2013. And this statement really has guided our work for the last 2 years together. It's given us common goals and shared understandings about what world language teaching and learning really is and what it looks like in the classroom. Along with the vision statement, we also reviewed the district's strategic plan with a particular focus on the goals relating to global citizenship and 21st century learning. World language study really is at the cornerstone of that global citizenship. In order to truly be global citizens, we need to have an understanding of the perspectives of other parts of the world and how other people and other cultures see government, politics, business, technology, and societal values in general. And the most important piece coming from world language is that to be a global citizen, you need to know what to say to whom, when to say it, and how to say it. So after reviewing the vision statement and the strategic plan, we developed 3 goals that guided our work over the past year. The first goal was to identify the alignment of our current curriculum to the state and national standards, as well as the can-do statements that were developed by the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. So the state standards were actually last revised in 1999, so we placed greater emphasis on the national standards for world language, which were last revised in 2013, so much more current. And those can-do statements are actually also used with English language learners. And just to give you an idea, they're student-friendly statements that give reasonable expectations for what students are able to do in the language. So for a novice learner, they might look like, I can introduce myself, I can count from 1 to 10, I can say hello and goodbye. Our second goal is to identify the level of vertical and horizontal alignment of the authentic resources that we already have in place, the technological resources we're currently using, and our current lessons that support that maximal use of the target language in the classroom. So we really took advantage of the opportunity to take an inventory of what we already have in place and looking at when it's used, how it's used, and how we might be able to do a better job with that. And the final goal is to identify the community connections that we're currently making within the curriculum, and again, how we might be able to further those opportunities. So this is actually one of our standards in world language learning, and the challenge is that we have to be able to present culture to students not only in the classroom, but also beyond the walls of the classroom. And that can be a challenge sometimes in communities where there aren't a lot of Spanish or French speakers to interact with.
World Language Night, which that is 2 years great success. It's wonderful.
Thank you. So after we developed our goals, we conducted a research of current studies relating back to those goals. So the research had to do primarily with the national recommendation that world language classes should be conducted for at least 90% of the time in the target language. So if you're studying Spanish, for example, if you're a student in a Spanish classroom, the language in that class should be Spanish for at least 90% of the time. We also looked at studies relating to how to maximize authentic interpersonal interactions between students in the classroom, and also how to leverage technology to increase those community connections for students. We surveyed students and teachers, and we did a very thorough assessment of our current curriculum against those state and national standards and can-do statements. And we actually set targeted proficiency levels for each level of students so that we have clear guidelines for what students should be able to do and what's reasonable to expect of them at each level. We analyzed data, starting with student data. We looked at our benchmark assessments, common exams, and DDMs. We looked at AP data, enrollment and class size, and the survey data. And then we conducted a formal textbook review. This actually was a huge piece of our work this year. So we started with textbooks from 5 different publishers, and we used an extensive textbook evaluation tool provided by the district. And using that tool, we went through each of the textbooks. We contacted districts that are currently using those books to gather feedback from them, and we piloted some sample lessons from those textbooks at certain levels of study here in Foxborough to see how they might work for us. And then we came back together and now narrowed those 5 choices down to 2 and invited those 2 publishers in to give us presentations on the textbooks, the supplementary resources, and the technological resources that accompany the texts. And then we revisited that district textbook evaluation tool again for those final 2 books and really highlighted what we considered to be the most important, our must-haves and our nice-to-haves, and then made our final decision from there. And then we worked together as a group to identify our positive findings and needs with regards to curriculum instruction, assessment, and professional development. So you have the full report in front of you, but I'd like to highlight from our positive findings some of the things that we're especially proud of as a department. The first being that we spent a lot of time over the last 2 years working on the vertical alignment for grades 1 through 12 in world languages here in Foxborough, and really looking at what's most important at each level, where should our focus be, what are our power standards, where are we maybe repeating things that we don't need to be, and how can we move our students forward. And as part of that, we'd really like to highlight our elementary program. We know how fortunate we are to have that, and that program really does provide for us the foundation for students to have long, continuous contact with the language, which is so important to be able to get them to those higher levels of proficiency. And even students who later choose to change their language, that has given them the foundation for studying a second language, regardless of what the language might be. For instruction, I mentioned earlier, we have a very talented department of teachers who are able to model a very high level of proficiency in their languages for their students. We've all lived and studied in the target cultures, so we're able to bring those experiences back to our students. And that really is essential to that piece of getting the language within the classroom to that 90% plus. And also by nature of our content, there's a wide variety of instructional methods in every class. We have to work with students in their speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills. And in order to do that, students are working individually, in pairs, in small groups, and as a whole class in every class period. For assessment, we have rigorous common assessments at every level in grades 1 through 12, and DDMs at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And we've worked a lot on common scoring practices. We have common rubrics, and we've spent some time actually scoring together as groups to calibrate our scoring so that we're holding students to the same standards. And at the high school, we are very fortunate, again, to have the language lab here, which gives us the opportunity to really assess students speaking and give them meaningful feedback on a regular basis. And that language lab is used every period of every day. For professional development, I mentioned earlier, our focus really has been on that vertical collaboration for the last 2 years and really building a team among the teachers in grades 1 through 12, working on that vision statement and talking about what are best practices, what should world language instruction look like for us here in Foxborough. And now we really can take that as a springboard to really look at pieces of that vision statement. Now, what are the specific things we'd like to focus on going forward? And this year, the high school world language department worked with the English department to align the strategies we're giving to students for their writing. And then just a couple of other things we'd like to highlight. Our World Language Honor Societies, this is the first year that we inducted students into the honor societies for American Sign Language, French, and Spanish. We inducted 65 students this year. It was really a nice opportunity to acknowledge students' hard work and success in the language. You mentioned earlier, this was our second annual World Language and Culture Night, and it does really give us a wonderful opportunity to connect our students with the community and to experience cultures that we don't necessarily offer here at the high school.
And right now, your language lab is getting high grades and great praise. When they had the senior bus to the future, they are amazed and excited about the language learning going on in the language lab. They thought that was wonderful. So
it was a great opportunity for us to share that with them, and I think for the students to be able to talk with them about what they do there. And then, of course, our longstanding French and Spanish exchange programs that have each been in place now for over 30 years. And clearly we're working to expand on that a little bit. But again, that gives our students those authentic opportunities to interact in the language and the culture.
And those two are very, very important things, because if students are willing at high school to go for a few days, live with another family, they are going to be more apt to opt for a semester abroad or a full year abroad, depending on their college or university. And now you can tell them all, there are now businesses that will not hire you unless you have spent at least a semester abroad in a foreign country. So that's a statistic that you can encourage.
It really is
Everybody who wants to take only 2 years of the language is
We do. It is a unique opportunity that we're able to offer here in Foxborough. Most schools do offer the opportunity to travel and stay in hotels, and those are wonderful opportunities. But this really gives our students.
And that's what will encourage them to be able to say, yes, I want to do that semester abroad.
Right. So again, you have the full report in front of you, but I'd like to highlight some of the most significant needs that we identified. In terms of curriculum, we have identified that we will need some extensive revision of the curriculum in Spanish for grades 5 through 12 and French in grades 7 through 12 in order to ensure that we really are designing our units that are embedded in culture and that are designed around those global interdisciplinary themes and are focused on pushing students to those higher levels of proficiency. And within that, we'll be looking to provide more frequent opportunities for that for those community connections. And again, using technology to help us with that a little bit, virtual field trips and pen pals and Skyping, but also making school visits so that our high school students are interacting with our elementary and middle school students, for example. In terms of instruction, ensuring that 90% plus use of the target language is happening in all languages at all levels. It should be happening starting at the first year of instruction on the first day and continuing all the way through. And looking to continue to provide more authentic, real-world student-to-student opportunities for practice in the language in their classes. For assessment, we're looking to consistently hold students accountable for using the target language. It's one of the biggest challenges. The teacher can speak the language for the entire class period, but as soon as you have students who start slipping back into English, that becomes a challenge. And studies have shown that switching back and forth between English and the student's second language really actually interferes with their acquisition of the language, because now they're doing twice the amount of work and trying to think in two languages at the same time. And we'd like to embed those can-do statements that I mentioned earlier in the student assessments so that they're clearly identified on student assignments. Teachers are assessing students against them, and students can assess themselves with them as well. In order to be able to effectively hit that 90% plus use of the target language, we'll be looking for some targeted professional development for teachers in order to identify the best strategies and best practices for us to do that. And finally, we're recommending the purchase of updated textbooks for Spanish in grades 5 through 12 and French in grades 7 through 12. So I mentioned that we started with 5 textbooks, or textbooks from 5 publishers anyway. And we feel very confident that the choice that we've made really does provide us with the opportunities to really, as I mentioned before, design those units around authentic resources that are embedded in culture and that drive the students towards those levels of proficiency. This series does support all of the research and the data that we've collected, and supports our department's vision for where we'd like to take our students in this program. So the series is from the publisher Vista Higher Learning. The Spanish series is called Descubre, and the French is D'accord. And these texts are focused on student outcomes. They're rich and authentic resources, as well as literature and informative text, which ties directly into the Common Core. The objectives that are outlined for each unit are very student-friendly, and they're based in proficiency, pushing students toward that proficiency. Culture is central. The units are designed around global themes. And vocabulary and grammar, this is really key. They're integrated as tools for proficiency. They're not presented as their own topics, which is how language has traditionally been taught to students here in the United States.
Memorize this vocabulary list.
Right. So it really is about how to use it appropriately. And then finally, the purchase of the textbook comes with an online super site, which has technology components and really some great opportunities for some meaningful homework assignments. There are opportunities for teachers to record students speaking at home. Kids can sort of FaceTime with each other in a secure environment, and the teacher can record those conversations and give the students feedback, just to give you an idea of what they look like. So, we're looking for some big changes, and they're not going to happen overnight. It will take time. We've tried to be thoughtful about how we might roll this out. So our original consideration was for a 3-year plan to revise curriculum, and also for looking at the purchase of textbooks. And I'll hand it over to Amy to talk a little bit more about the
I don't think
book
there's much to
adoption.
add after what she's, do you agree? As you can tell, we have met regularly all year long, Karen and I have, as far as the process, and they have just been so thorough, as you can see, with everything that they have done, from curriculum, instruction, assessment to textbooks. And I really commend, and we've got Maureen Brawley and Irene Titmus and Debbie Grant, I think, back there too, who have been on the committee and have done so much work with Karen this year. And I'm really impressed with the caliber of their efforts and the amount of thought and reflection that they've put into this.
Is that the textbook I saw? That cool?
I'm not sure.
Because remember, I went up there and
Yes.
I said, don't look any further. This is it. You remember me? Yes, that was and then I even ran and told Diane, I think, I remember the textbook, but tell them to stop. That word, d'accord.
I don't think we had started yet.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate you guys don't have an advocate for world language on this school board.
We are lacking that.
Comments or thoughts from the committee?
I just may get educated here. You observed a 3-year shift in 21st century language learning, and that's great. Did you folks, are you gonna suffer from another one? Another shift that may or may not be on the horizon, so that, we're sort of future-proofing whatever. I'm going back to the book Focus. Deb shined me onto that book, and I always feel bad for the faculty when they have to relearn a new way of teaching that was consistent at one time before, right? That's one of the things in the book that says, thou shalt not, or thou shalt avoid if possible. Is this anything like that, or is this, because we are in a cycle of reviewing curriculum, which is cadenced and proper and well understood, so this is that time for this.
And I think it's a lot of what they're already doing in classrooms. It's a matter of having some of the textbooks and resources that are up to date. Our current Spanish book is 13 years old,
Right.
and the other one is set for French is 7 years old. And with our curriculum cycle, that's for us to study this and to go forward. So we're looking at, even with the textbooks, spreading the cost of that over 3 fiscal years and rolling them out over 2. So that way we can be very focused and methodical about how we roll that out. But at the same time, it's continuing with the professional development as far as supporting that in the target language. And I think that's probably one of the biggest shifts when we think about learning something in a different language. We take English, and then we learn it in English, and then what does it look like in French, or what does it look like in Spanish? And so you're having to learn that twice. So when you're doing that within the target language, you're not having to do double duty in a sense. It's really taking it where it makes sense and taking the national standards as well as those can do with, as Karen had mentioned, really looking at our English language learner population too. It all connects. So it's not so much new, it's a matter of the way we're approaching and making sure that we have the curriculum
So
and the
you're not gonna get
professional development
ambushed.
supports in place. We've got 3 of our folks back there too that could probably attest to it much better than I could.
Thank you. Thanks.
Just to follow along with Steve's point, though, with the standards, since you said the state ones haven't been changed since 1999, are they working on change standards? Is it, and is the direction they are heading in consistent with the national standards?
Yeah, actually, our national professional organization, ACTFL, our state professional organization, MAFLA, are both working with DESE. There's
That's a lot of acronyms.
Okay, yeah, no,
they are all working together to align this. And actually, the state standards really are pretty well aligned with the national standards.
Okay.
It's just a matter of where the focus is.
Right.
And again, that presentation of vocabulary and grammar versus how students are using it and the focus on proficiency, which I think regardless really is the key. We want our students to graduate from here saying, I took 12 years of Spanish and I can speak the language, not I took 12 years of Spanish and I can count to 10, which is, we hear so many adults say all the time. We want our students to graduate from here speaking the language.
Karen, you made the comment about the elementary study of the foreign language being very beneficial downstream to you all. That's an interesting point that I picked up on because we have tight budget here in Foxborough. We have choices we have to make. We have some pressing needs coming that aren't in our budget today. And one of the things that's been talked about is, do we keep the foreign language at the elementary? And we haven't talked about that formally, but I think it's a question. So do you want to expand a little bit more? I know you said it's valuable to you. Do you want to just offer any more thoughts?
Yes. As I mentioned, it absolutely provides the foundation for everything we're doing at the middle and high school levels. We do have most of our 9th grade Spanish students now starting in level 3, which will later give them more opportunities to focus on those critical thinking skills and to have more choices in exactly what they're studying in the language later. And again, pushing to be able to speak the language. When students don't start studying the language until much later, now the focus is less on that proficiency and giving students those basic building blocks, the colors, the numbers, and that basic vocabulary. When anybody first starts learning a language, the first step is that you're able to produce memorized lists of words and expressions you're not producing in the language. And studies have shown that it takes at least 10 years to develop proficiency in a language. So students aren't starting until 7th or 9th grade or whenever it may be. They're losing a huge window of opportunity to start to gain that level of proficiency that we are able to offer them at this point.
All right, so we'll take that as a big advocate for
It would be
maintaining.
very detrimental
She
to our
dug in,
program.
yeah.
Okay, I got that. I'm a little dull, but if we had to make that difficult decision, and I'm just playing worst case scenario, how would that impact all the work you guys have done?
It would undo it. We'd have to go, we wouldn't be able to offer our 9th graders Spanish 3. We'd have to go back really and start all over from step 1. How do we address these students at the first day?
Yeah.
And how do we look at getting them to the highest level we can by the time they graduate?
I don't mean to panic you
No,
or
I
your
know.
team. This is not imminent, but it is, something that we know we're fortunate to have this in Foxborough. So we just have to weigh it against other requests that come forward. So your comments are very valuable in that discussion, I think.
I think it also strengthens our other core content areas in learning a second language when you think about the writing and the listening, the communication skills that are there within English language arts. They strengthen each other.
And even in other interdisciplinary areas. I mean, within our language classes, we are studying science, math, like you mentioned, listening, reading, and writing skills that are important in every area. The environment, business. This is where the language lies, really, and to be able to interact with other parts of the world in those areas. You have to have those skills in the language.
I have a question about the textbooks and the finances. How does this work with our budget that we just passed?
Budget always has a world language, or not world language, a
A
textbook
textbook
adoption.
adoption,
Right,
and-
so, as, you know, Amy and I talked about this today, but the program basically itself is in the curriculum design process. The other thing that we have as an advantage is that, you know, as Amy and I were talking about, is that we have some money left from this year's, both on the high school level and in the actual textbook
In the
adoption.
textbook.
So when Amy was saying we'll take it from 3 years, but kind of push it into 2 years, we're taking part of this year's funding,
That was my
next
question.
year's funding, and then a little bit of the, or some of the following year's funding to make the whole thing work. But, you know, we've had that where we have bigger adoptions in the past. That's not an unusual approach. You know, there's actually very few adoptions that will fit within the single year's, you know, program. So unless, you know, we're fortunate enough just to have to make minor changes.
And at the same time, is being cognizant of science and what we're anticipating with our textbook adoption line and working
With
within
them.
that figure for both curriculum content. So that's one of the reasons we're
That's
really
one of the better
being-
things the school committee did a few years ago was to, rather than a hit or miss, and the social studies department running and say, oh, but you should see, we have adopted that regular review, new text adoption.
And
So that- yeah.
I'm sorry, Bev.
No, so that's why they kind of, in a sense, have the money.
Have
because
already
this is-
accounted for the
this
money,
has
yeah,
been
going
projected.
forward.
A lot of forward
Okay.
thinking.
That's, yeah, okay, thank you.
That was one of the better things
Makes
the school
sense.
committee did, was to get that rotation set up, and our strategic planning.
Any other
Thanks.
comments or discussion from the committee? If not, Karen, I want to thank you and ask you to thank your team, both those here and those that aren't, for a very thorough, as
Very.
Amy said, report, and very passionate, and it shows. And it's, we appreciate what you did in this report and what you do for our kids. Some of us directly, because our kids have. So, you know, that's a great job, well done.
Well, 4 of you. 4 parents here,
Yeah. Yep.
and mine is
And we've been on
Okada.
boards together.
So take 1 minute off agenda and tell us about your trip to China, because
Yes.
I know, 1 minute, right? Well, we mentioned your name a few times while you were away. We have talked about this theme of bringing this global world to our students in little Foxborough. So we highlighted, and we've talked at the committee level about the program with the Chinese students. So just tell us, just spend a minute on your experience. For those who don't know, you were there from when to when?
I was there for about 2 weeks. I think it was April 16th through the 27th. Might be off by a day or two. That time is sort of smushing together at this point. But it was quite an experience. It was very different from anything else that I had ever encountered in my travels. Certainly not knowing the language or very much about the culture was different. I really enjoyed meeting the students and visiting the schools and learning about what education actually is like in China and sharing what public education is here in the United States. Those were really some, I think, valuable conversations that I was able to come back and talk with my students about. And truthfully, I don't think they will ever realize how fortunate they really are. These students in China look at us like we're superstars. This is their dream. They want to study here in the United States because they really believe that that's their key to opportunity and their future. And those opportunities are very limited for them in China. Food was incredible. A couple of strange things, but in general it was very good. And the people were so friendly and welcoming and so happy to have us there.
Must have been a pretty profound experience, some of the realizations of the different cultures and how they feel about being educated here.
Yes. And you hear students say, I would ask, why do you want to study in the United States? And I would get answers anything from, I just want to be in a place where I can breathe clean air, to I want to be in a class where my teachers are asking for my opinion and what I think about things rather than being told to memorize this list of information and to be sure I get it right on the test so that it doesn't impact what happens to them later.
Dramatic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking that trip. and
you for
because
giving
that
me the opportunity.
Well, and that's going to really help us have a successful program, I think. So, did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
Thank
Job
you to
well
the whole
done.
team.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the work.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Okay. School committee vote to reappoint Ms. Spinelli as the voting member of the Bi-County Collaborative Board of Directors for the 2015-2016 school year. Did she offer any thoughts beyond the traditional standard vote?
The traditional standard vote, it has to take place each year, and as the superintendent and being a BICO district, that is one of her roles.
Any questions from the committee?
None.
I'd like to make the nomination.
I'll second it. We
I-
talked about it.
Okay.
I think it has to, just before it has to go in exactly like she has it written here, that if we voted to appoint Mrs. Spinelli as to the BICO Board of Directors for the 2015-16 school year.
It's a good program.
Good.
So we've moved and seconded.
Yeah, do we have any further discussion? All those in favor? 5-0, thank you. Mr. Yukna, budget update.
Yeah, actually very little change. The only major change, quite honestly, is the utility costs, as I warned last time. Our fuel costs on the gas side, we're running a deficit there. We have a slight surplus on the electric side, so the net difference is about a $17,000 change that we'll take out of the current variance. Not really unexplained or unexpected because of the nature of the winter we had, and again, trying to keep the buildings all at the same temperatures. We do have very good programs as far as running those systems, so it's not a matter of running things that we shouldn't run. At times we shouldn't, but really is an issue. And fortunately, we're still in a contract. We have a 3-year contract on both our electric and gas pricing, so that wasn't the factor in this either. So. It happens. I mean, last year we had a nice surplus in the 2 lines. This year we're going to have a small deficit. But again, so at this point we have what looks to be a very tight $3,600. However, as I've said in the past, we're now just getting to the point where we start to see the cleanup of some of our larger issues, which are core programs, items for teachers that are involved with different evaluations and how many we have in each of those. And it's really, obviously student driven, so we don't have a way of predicting those until we start to see the slips that come in from the programs that have actually done. Typically those, can give us obviously a little bit of a surplus. I know we're not going to run into a negative there because we've been running very well so far this year. So I anticipate a little bit of additional money coming from those sides. In general, our expenses are pretty much in line, so I don't see any real changes there. I would say that including our SPED program, which has seen a few upticks recently with some students moving in, but again, we kind of cover ourselves the way we use our circuit breaker. So we do have the ability to cover those as well. So there's really no surprises out there that I see. I would anticipate, obviously, that we will still continue to have a little bit of a surplus at the end of the year, and look to the school committee on a priority list of a few things that we try to accomplish. We do have some basic things we try to accomplish at the end of every year. One of the ones that we instituted again last year was going back into the high school as far as classroom furniture. And we adopted, trying to do 4 to 5 classrooms where we put new furniture in. When we did do the renovation of the building, it was one of the things that was not covered under the MSBA program was furniture changeouts. So by doing this kind of on a regular basis, we can kind of take care of areas that have been, out there for quite some time. As you see, the type of furniture we have in the media center today compared to what was out there in the past, it's the same way in classrooms. There are more mobile type of classroom arrangements depending on the study, and that make more sense than the traditional class. So we look for those type of things. And I think in general, I'm very comfortable where the budget stands at this point. I don't see an issue as far as getting to the end of the year without, in a deficit situation at all.
I have a question.
Yes.
We got this in the mail today. It was a Mass legislative bulletin, and it did say something about the mandated homeless transportation was funded at 50%.
It's been funded that way for the last 2 years.
So it doesn't impact us.
No, and actually,
going
that's
forward
that's a
anyway.
following year, reimbursement. So basically, what
Okay.
happens is whatever comes out of this year, they'll certify with my end of year report, and the communities get back, and it goes back into the general fund. But they've been pretty consistent with that over the last couple of years, and as you know, that has been one account that's gone up each of the last 3 or 4 years. And quite honestly, it's one of the oddities in the laws, the way they set the thing up, was that there are still a lot of vagaries in how it works and how long someone is considered homeless, that type of thing, and what is considered homeless versus what most of us might think in our minds. So I think they're at least compensating communities for part of that is a positive thing, and they don't really compensate us for transportation in any other area. So this is the one area that. Kind of they dictated the rules, so they at least do reimburse us to that one.
Thanks.
Other questions for Bill?
I just want to thank you for your monitoring and your expertise at balancing everything out. If it weren't for you and your vigilance, I mean, so many districts around us are suffering and are going to not be in deficit, but deeply in deficit, and you're coming up when we're not going to touch the line.
Well, I think you're fortunate because both in Amy and Deb, you have two people, on that level too, that really do understand the budgets, which is very different than what I've seen in the past in other districts. I mean, I'll laugh at times because, Deb will correct me on something on a number basis, and I'll be looking at her like, okay, but and she typically would be right when I do that. So, but it is, I think it really does take the total team to do this. And when we have administrative meetings, I have to be honest with you. It's a very open discussion with principals and whether it's the director level as far as Aaron and Sandra Einsel, and then obviously Deb, Amy, and I, as far as what we feel we have as resources, where we feel we need to be a little tighter on something that we might have proposed out there, and I think people really understand that we're trying to do this all together. So that makes my job a lot easier in the end. Is that it's not. We're picking and choosing our favorites or anything like that. We're doing what's right for kids, and we're doing it, kind of even-handed across the district. So it's definitely a teamwork issue.
Bill, I have a question. Will we need to start to identify the wish list that we do sometimes at the end of a year, or have you guys done that, or are we not going to? Do you not anticipate that kind of a surplus?
Well, I don't see it. We will always have again, as we close out, it's almost impossible not to have some things fall out in the positive sense for you. The negatives actually right now are very easy to control because we can see where we are with every account. And obviously if we feel that account is just going to blow it, we lock it down, and that stops that pretty quickly. So, but some of the areas, like I said, when you look at core evaluations and stuff like that, you just, the trends have been in our favor recently, so I think we know that. So what typically will happen in our next administrative meeting, I'll give a range of what I think is going to be available. We'll all put together the priorities of each of the schools independently, but then as a group, what we feel which priorities weigh out, and that's what we would bring back to you at that point in time. As you know.
So you are going to begin that exercise?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's our next admin meeting. And again, unfortunately, because of the way this has to roll out, it virtually is done, at your probably mid-June meeting.
Right.
And we have very little time to actually pull the trigger on doing it, but it's just that's the only way you can be sure that you've covered everything. Sure. So it's a tight time frame, but it does work.
Very good. Anything else? Could I get a motion to accept the budget update?
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
All those in favor? Thank you. Acceptance of donation.
Yes. So this summer, let me back up for a moment. About 18 communities received communication from the Southeast Mass Network on STEM education for girls. It's a program to enhance interest in the STEM field, and particularly to increase the number of girls that are interested in STEM. And we put forward that it's for middle school students who have to be between age 10 and 12, so more of our 5th and 6th graders. And it's an opportunity for them to go and engage in different modules within the sciences and math and technology. And we have 3 Ahern Middle School students that will be going, and it's $500 per student in order to go. We wanted to have 5, but we only have 3 spots, so we're kind of in a waiting list. But very fortunate that Partners in Patriotism is going to fund the $500 per student in order to participate in this summer program. So very thankful to accept the donation of $1,500 from them.
That's excellent.
To accept with gratitude.
I know, I was, when I read that,
I'll second Steve's motion.
With gratitude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
With gratitude.
Thank you, Partners in Patriotism.
That is
Great.
wonderful.
That is great. Okay, that's the end of the formal agenda. Other matters? Anyone would like to bring up?
There was actually a good thing for the senior class, which, as you know, proposed doing a project at Sam Burns Field, and they received a $5,000 grant from the Craft organization towards that goal, which now makes it
that's
so that
wonderful.
they're capable of doing that. So I think their
They're
final
over
plans will
16
now.
They're well over 16,000 now.
No, I think they were only looking to raise around 7,000 in the
Yeah,
initial
but I mean,
stage.
they had
And they had
already-
some theirs, right.
So
right.
they're over 6,000
Well, I think they're
already.
they're over the level they need, and so they will be moving forward. So I think that took a lot of pressure off of them as seniors at the end here
That's
to make what they
fantastic.
wanted to have happen here.
Do they think it'll happen before they graduate?
Uh,
You hear about the garden, right?
Yeah, they've already
The
put a plan
entrance
together, so it's really just waiting to see what their timing is going to be on it. But
That is great.
That is great. Wonderful. Bevy?
I want to congratulate and welcome Marilyn once again, and congratulations, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you.
And also, congratulations to our seniors, and Godspeed on the last, on Friday, as they do their Around the Common tour.
Did that happen already? Oh my God.
Yeah, Friday afternoon. Streamers and horns and shouts.
It's so much fun.
That's great. Anything else, Bevy? Tina?
I have a few things, actually. A lot of good stuff has been going on and is upcoming. So the Jazz Fest was last Friday night, and I wanted to congratulate all of the different ensembles. It was very amazing. I don't have a good word for it. It was an unbelievable show of talent, a great program, and Sean Jones, their invited guest, was spectacular. So it was really great to see that.
I know, and that junior jazz band.
Oh, all
From
good.
the Ahrens, you sit there, you think they at least have to be in high school, they're so good. It's incredible.
It was a very impressive group. Our students continue to impress us. So my other I wanted to congratulate the Ahern Drama Club. They, on May 1st, they were in a competition and they performed Orphan Train and earned a silver at the drama competition. So I wanted to congratulate them.
That's great.
I wanted to mention that we got a flyer. They'll all be my fellow adolescent parents, parents of adolescents. We got a flyer home. Joni Geltman, who is an expert in child development, is coming to the Ahern Middle School on Wednesday, May 27th, to speak on adolescent psychology, the parent version, how your adolescent child's brain is developing. I will definitely be there. It's from 7 to 9 at the Ahern Middle School. And I have 2 more things, bear with me. The FHS Drama Club is doing Murder Mystery Night, and our own Mikel Hernandez is going to be directing. I know we discussed this a few weeks ago, but I was hoping she'd be here, but since she isn't, I'm going to speak for her. It's May 29th at 6 p.m. here at the high school. And the last thing, and this goes along with what you said, is I know Jim DeVellis mentioned this at their selectmen meeting, but the annual town report is out, and our own Sam is on the cover, and I know the town manager made it possible for each one of our graduating seniors to get one last Friday. So it is a really wonderful picture of Sam and a very nice dedication to him.
And his parents.
And his parents.
It's dedicated to him and his parents.
Right, in the front page with artwork from our own student here at Foxborough High School as well. So it's all very good stuff. That's it. That's all I have.
I didn't know the seniors all going. That's great.
They did. They did. They were, and they also, Keegan and I believe his secretary went up and presented the craft organization with their, as a thank you for all their support for the field and everything.
Nice.
They delivered it to Gillette Stadium.
That's great.
The artist was, I just should say, the artist was Matt Stamatov, who did the artwork that's in here.
Thank you. Amy?
I think that's great you had all of those things, because I was thinking about those. The other thing, and I do not want to steal Debbie's thunder as far as the Bus to the Future, but I have to mention that it was such a great day. She was so excited, and just hearing their insight and what they observed and the questions that they had, it was fantastic. It was just, I mean, she did such a phenomenal job with the schedule she planned for them, and kudos to Debbie and the itinerary in all the schools. It was a great day.
Wish I could have been there.
Me too.
Oh, I know, and she said things that are technological now that she was so used to, we're becoming used to the, they said, well, what's that thing hanging around the teacher's neck? What's that wire? Well, that's the amplification system you have in the elementary rooms, so that the teacher can be working here and just say, now, instead of jumping up, everybody close your books, change. You just quietly say it. But we're so used to it that it wasn't new, it wasn't technology to it, it's just part of the function of the classroom.
That's great.
And I know, so, in a sense, they say you see the world again through the eyes of a child, and you marvel all over again. Well, they've never seen all of this, and they loved that, what Leanna Pink had come and told us about the jazz music making lab at the Ahern.
Technology lab.
That, yeah.
That's great. Steve?
I'm good.
Marilyn?
Fabulous.
Any questions
No
about how everything
questions.
went? And
I'm very happy to be here.
you've been to these meetings many times
Many
before.
times.
Welcome. Bill?
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank the community again, I think, for the support we got at the annual town meeting on our budget, but also on the CIP budget, because again, as the next phase of the St. Burns complex there is the lighting that's now been approved. I am working with the vendors to kind of get that lined up so it goes, and first part of July we'll actually start hopefully the installation if everything goes well.
Once they start, how long does the installation take?
1 day.
Oh, just morning to
Yeah,
dawn to
they'll
dusk?
actually have the post up, and then will probably take about a week or so to get all of the wiring trenched in and connected, but the actual post and the supports and stuff go up very quickly with a company that obviously knows what they're doing. So that's a good thing. And again, I think by next fall that will be a fully functioning field as far as lighting goes, and we won't have to have the temporary lights like we had this year for the youth sports that wanted to use it. So.
Oh, and there is one more thing. While Mr. Mortimer is still here, maybe we could have our newly seated school committee photo.
Yes, I was planning on that if you would like it.
Thank you.
She didn't get the memo, but
Janet?
Good, thank you.
We got all the graduation robes, paperwork ready
They're all
to go.
submitted to the high school, so should be all set.
Great. It's that time of year. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good night, everybody.